Hello, and welcome to Rethinking Our History, where we seek to shed a light on events that have been forgotten and covered up, and to make us all question how much do we really know about our history? I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian, and we are here to reveal all the sordid details of history that have been swept under the rug. Get ready to get angry, be curious, and maybe have a laugh or two as we rethink our history.
Hello, friends.
Hey guys,
Thanks for joining us for another lesson, episode 6.
rethinking our history.
Yeah. If you would be so kind to give us a follow, share on socials. Well, you can. What? I can't talk. What is going on with my mouth?
I don't know. I mean, you did just wake up, so.
Let me try that again. If you would be so kind to give us a follow and share on social media, we can be found on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook by searching for the Paranormal Lovers in the search bar. Can also be found on YouTube. If you found us here first and are a fan of the paranormal, head over to our flagship show, The Paranormal Lovers, which can be found anywhere you find this podcast. If you would like to support the show, we have merch over at theparanormallovers.threadless.com.
Also running in a contest.
Yeah, we are running in a contest. Thefaceofhorror.org. You can go vote for Ian. He's been posting the links and all that good stuff on it. Y'all go give the man a vote. Go ahead over to the merch place, though, to get you some merch before
T-shirts.
the 2024 collection is gone.
Yeah, get them while they're hot.
If you would like to be a regular supporter, we have a Patreon. There is one $5 tier where you get early access to unedited videos of both of our podcasts, as well as 2 stickers per month. 1 sticker from our shop and 1 from that guy.
Me.
He makes them by hand. He doodles.
Yeah. Love drawing.
He does.
Really
And
do.
lastly, if you have a topic request, a personal story you would like read on a future episode, and that can be paranormal, true crime, or historical, it will be put in the proper category. Or if you would like to start a fight about our super liberal views, email us at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. I'll fight people on this show. I don't care.
Right.
It's a history show. I'm not here to hold your hand and make you feel better about history. I ain't sugarcoating shit. I'm autistic, bitch.
Right.
So they want to fight. We'll fight. I have a,
For sure.
what is it about neurodivergent people? We have a strong sense of justice.
Yeah.
So fight me. All right. Now, I have another historical story for us that has lived rent free in my head for many years.
Yeah.
Today in 2024, we know and understand how dangerous radioactive materials are.
Sure.
This, however, was not the case in 1898 when Marie and Perry Curie, it's a lot of re's, discovered radium. Now, I'm not a scientist, couldn't name off any symbols on the periodic table. I got the mathtisms. So I am not going to attempt to explain exactly what radium is. You can do your own research.
It's like the song we listened to this morning with Patty.
Radioactive.
Radioactive.
Girl is on an Imagine Dragons kick. What we need to know is that this is something that it's extremely controlled due to its toxicity. Now, back in 1898, this was not known. It is why it was quite common for Marie and Perry to keep vials of the materials in their pockets or in the drawers of their desk. Once Marie isolated the actual element of radium to work with in 1910, it did not take long for it to become apparent that it was dangerous.
Sure.
Once after not handling the element properly, Marie sustained severe burns. Perry did not even want to be in the same room, as he said, I don't even want to be near a kilogram of the stuff.
Right.
Now, if you listen to the first few episodes of this show, you know that in Henrietta's episode, they would actually use tubes of radium to treat cancer. They would implant it in the body next to the cancer, and it would kill off the cancer, and then they could take it out.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key part right there, is that you take it back out.
Yeah.
Because of its medical applications, it was thought to be safe and was used in things like toothpaste and makeup.
Oh, geez.
Someone even made radium infused tonic water. You should look up the ad for that because I was literally sitting here reading it and it was like there's a little metal thing that you drop in your water and it leaks radium out into your water
Oh, my God.
and then you drink it.
That's crazy.
From 1910 to 1970, radium was used in paint as a luminescent.
Right.
Now, if you or anyone in your family has clocks or watches that have been passed down through the generations that were made around this time, it is quite possible that the hands and faces of those items still have a small amount of radium paint on them. It's obviously not toxic at this point, so don't go freaking out throwing out your grandma's grandfather clock, okay? Calm the fuck down. But this was that's just what they used at the time
Sure.
because around the time the war started, they're like, we need to be able to look at our wristwatch or our dials on the
During nighttime.
exactly. Now, this was not during the time that machines did a lot of this work like today. Of course, manufacturing was on the rise, but it was mainly for larger items, and smaller things like painting or small details was left to humans. And that is how we get the radium girls. To get the tiny details on clock and watch faces with the luminescent paint, the United States Radium Corporation looked to hire the painters. The USRC was a major defense contractor for the US military, and they opened a plant in Orange, New Jersey due to the onset of World War I. Over the course of its life, this facility employed over 300 women painters. It is estimated that over 4,000 people were hired during the time that this radium paint was being used to be painters across all of North America. And I say of North America because I'm pretty sure it happened in like Canada too.
Yeah.
But I think they were smarter about it. So,
Yeah.
while at the labs where the material was extracted, they used lead screens, tongs, and masks at the painting quote unquote studios. They call them studios, so very glamorous. What is it the bitch said that's been going around lately? Very demure, very cutesy. I work in a studio.
Right.
At the studio, the women were given no such protections. What's even more, not only were they kept in the dark about the dangers of just being around the substance, they were encouraged to use their mouths on the paintbrushes.
Right.
And the reason why they were all like, oh, well, the men in the labs get all this stuff and the women don't need it is because like they're messing with like lots and lots of radium. And the women just get like a tiny bit of powder to mix in with the paint.
Right.
That's it. They'll be fine.
Hmm.
They were, spoiler alert, they were in fact not fine.
No, not at all.
I need Alex Jones, James Earl Jones, to hop in here right now from heaven and be like,
I was like,
they
Alex
were in
Jones.
fact not fine.
Gay frogs.
Alex Jones. That works too. I actually heard something about him yesterday, but
Did you?
it was on a podcast and it wasn't that important. But now the brushes that they used were very small, fine camel hair brushes, which after just a few strokes would begin to lose its shape.
Right.
So the women were trained to lip dip paint.
Right.
They would use their lips or their tongue to reshape the brush back into a point.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, just out of curiosity, is this safe?
Right.
Like, is it safe for us to do this? And their bosses went, yeah, sure. Yeah, totally fine. Totally fine. Use that method. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I hate big corporations so much.
Now, one of the best side effects of being in contact with the paint all day was the glow that the women would have once they left work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Not only did they get covered in paint in their day-to-day jobs, but they would use it to paint their nails, their teeth, and their faces for fun. They would also wear their best dresses to work so that when they went out to dance, their dresses would glow.
Sure.
This glow caused the girls to locally be known as ghost girls, which gave me goosebumps. Now, these were actually really good jobs. They paid very, very well for the time, especially for a job for a woman. I think I read they got paid like 3 times what women would normally make.
Hmm.
So,
That's
like,
cool.
they were making damn good money. They did not have to work long hours, nor were they forced to work in dangerous conditions, at least not to their knowledge.
Right.
Not only that, but occasionally the girls would take small vials of the paint home to share with their families.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, they had no idea that what they were sharing with them would mean death for many of them.
Yep.
Now, it began to become apparent that something was wrong when one of the women, Amelia Molly Magi, began having pain in her jaw. This prompted her to go for a visit to her dentist, where she had to have a tooth removed. It wasn't long before she would have to go back and have more removed.
Yep.
The wounds that were left over did not heal, and instead ulcers formed, and the wounds would grow together, and then they would just drain pus and blood
Oh, man.
constantly.
That's horrible.
Um, well, just a quick warning, it gets worse.
Yeah.
A lot worse.
I'm sure.
So if you have a weak stomach, skip ahead about a minute and a half. You don't have a choice, Bill. You have to sit through this.
Do I have to?
Yes. Yes, you do.
I'm looking at all the pictures right now and just going, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. The disease spread throughout her mouth and to her lower jaw, where a large abscess began to grow.
Mm.
Her dentist decided she needed surgery to remove it. That surgery was a lot because when the doctor opened her jaw, he noticed that the bone looked ashy and gray. When he poked it with his finger, quote, the whole bone crumbled under his fingertip like ashes in a fireplace, end
Oh my
quote.
God.
This affliction would become to known as radium jaw.
Wow.
But it was not just their jaws that were affected,
It's your whole body.
every bone.
Yeah.
One woman was standing when she suddenly collapsed, and it was found that all of the vertebrae in her back had disintegrated.
Holy crap.
She just
Yeah.
flopped out. Like, I'm trying to imagine what that would feel like. You're standing there, you're probably already hurting enough as it is, and then all of a sudden you hit the ground and you can't lift yourself up. Your spine is gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone. Like, there might be some dust in there, but that's about it. And so it went with many of the painters. The pain would start in their mouth, leading to them getting teeth removed. The wounds would not heal and would get infected. And then whatever this strange thing was, because they didn't know what it was,
Right.
would spread throughout their bodies. Then their periods began stopping, and many women found themselves unable to get pregnant. As for Amelia, after her first surgery, she would have to go back to get the rest of her jaw removed. Then she lost part of her inner ear, which I don't even understand how that would work. But
Right.
just 8 months after the pain began in her mouth, this is so fucked up. Tumors had grown in her throat and had actually severed her jugular vein, thus drowning her in her own blood.
Jesus.
But this being the 1920s, and this being the US, whereas Bailey Sarian likes to say it is quote unquote money over everything,
Yeah.
medical professionals were urged to lie.
Hmm.
You're like, these bitches are filled with radiation. And they're like, nope, nope, nope. You're going to write syphilis as the cause of death.
What the hell?
Because we'll just let people believe that they're whores instead of owning up
Right.
to the fact that we're literally killing them
Yeah.
and telling them it's okay.
It's crazy.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they attempted to brand the women as whores. Said whenever they did their autopsies, they would write their cause of death as syphilis.
Sure.
Because men hate us. Bill, men hate us. I was just saying this about the poor woman in France
Yeah.
whose husband was drugging her and
Mhm.
letting men rape her. I wouldn't even had. See, he's lucky he was in jail because if it had been me and my husband, I found out he'd be doing that, I'd be like, "Well, you're gonna die,
Yeah.
and I'll take your place in jail. At least I won't be getting drugged and raped in jail.
Right.
I get raped, but not drugged." But okay, so they tried to brand the women as whores, but how would they explain the people who did not work in the facilities that got sick? One of the most notable cases of this is when one of the women's sister began showing symptoms.
Hmm.
She did not work at the factory. She was actually, I want to say the girl that worked there was maybe like 16 and this was maybe like her 12-year-old sister.
Right.
All she did was share a bed
Wow.
with her sister and she died from radiation poisoning.
That's crazy.
USRC was not the only corporation using this paint either. Radium Dial is another company that hired women to be painters using the same lip dip paint style. Former president of the company, Josh Kelly, started his own company, Luminous Process Company, after he was fired from Radium Dial. At first, the workers at the other facilities were unaware of what was taking place in New Jersey because these facilities were in Illinois.
Yeah.
While the workers did not know, some of the bigwigs did. At Radium Dial, oh God, give me a minute. Every time I get to a part where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they did that shit.
Yep.
My blood pressure just goes. At Radium Dial, they were doing active research to see the effects of the radiation on the workers' bodies. However, the workers never knew they were doing it, and they never heard anything about the results. And they were once again told, yeah, it's perfectly safe.
Mm-hmm.
When news of a court case out of New Jersey made its way to the Midwest, the workers were told that those workers had a viral infection.
Right.
They told them they had a viral infection, Bill.
Because viruses can do that. They just melt away your bones.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in New Jersey, Grace Fryer set about suing her former employer.
Yes.
It would take her 2 years to find an attorney, Raymond Berry, that was willing to go up against the giant corporation.
Right.
Their first appearance in court was in January of 1928.
They needed Hawk Law.
Or George Sink.
Yeah.
Or Anima Castapulo. Or Shelley Leak.
Collie Castapulo.
2 of the women in the suit were bedridden, and none of them could even raise their hand to take the oath. Which, yeah, when your bones are like fucking disintegrating inside of your body, then yeah, no, you can't raise your fucking hand.
I'm sure
You
it
have
made
to
them
have
weak.
bones. Along with Grace, Edna Hussman, Catherine Schwab, Quinta McDonald, and Albina Loris were a part of the suit, and these ladies were dubbed the Radium Girls. This was the first time poor work conditions had been covered so extensively by media, and the first time someone fought against a corporation with such undeniable evidence. From this case, some of the regulating of safety practices in the workplace. From this case came the regulating of safety practices in the workplace, and it is the precedent of all the laws we have today.
Wow.
Examples of this include employees' ability to sue their employer for labor abuse. The case was also a factor in the creation of the Occupational Disease Labor Law and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And although radium paint was used until the 1970s, workers were equipped with PPE or personal protective equipment, for those who may not know. The Radium Girls would go on to settle out of court. Each of the girls received $10,000 or $184,000 today. They would get $600 or $11,000 a year, and were given $12 or what would be $220,000, or not 220, $12 or $220 today a week until their death. Their medical bills and legal expenses would also be covered by the company. Now, back in Illinois, the employees began asking for help covering their medical bills in 1927, but were denied. It would take until 1937 before employees would file a suit with the Illinois Industrial Commission. It would take 2 more years and a total of 8 rulings before Radium Dial was finally forced to pay their employees. 8 rulings. This is the same thing with the shit we talked about last week with the white people not wanting to let black people live their fucking life and having to be like, are you sure, Supreme Court, we can't tell black people where to sit on the bus? Here's
Right.
this fucking corporation that's like, do we really have to pay these medical bills for these people that we lied to for years about the dangers of their jobs until the point where their bodies were literally disintegrating?
That's crazy.
Like their bones are turning into ash inside of their body. Do we really have to pay for the medical bills for that?
Right.
Like, fucking A!
Mhm.
Own up. Take responsibility. And fucking ah.
Ah.
In 1933, Robley D. Evans was the first to take measurements of radon and radium that was expelled from the dial painters. In 1941, this information was used to establish a tolerance level for radium. Yeah, because I guess, again, I'm not a scientist, but as like the radium was like attacking their body, they would expel radon.
Yeah.
Which is like that shit they were looking for in our basement.
Yeah.
Every time we got a house, they're like, we got to check your basement for radon. And I'm like, what the fuck is radon? I had never heard of it until we bought the house in Canton.
Right.
And they came to inspect it. That's a lie. I probably heard of it in high school. But again, I got the mathetisms, not the science-tisms.
Right.
I think Patty got the science-tisms.
I think so.
In
Maybe.
1968, the Center for Human Radiobiology was created to examine the remaining living dial painters. This project was to collect information and samples from the painters. And by the end of the project, they had collected information from 2,403 cases.
Wow.
While I'm glad that something came from this story, it does nothing to alleviate the pain that these families felt. Say, if you have a painter that was lucky enough to not get sick, she had to watch her friends and coworkers get sick, and their boss lie to them about it.
Yeah.
And if the universe is really being a cunt, she will not get sick, but her family could still get sick just from living in the same house as her.
I wonder how many people like wore those watches and got sick too.
The thing is there's not enough in the watches
Right.
to get sick. Plus, it's encased in glass and plastic,
They weren't ingesting it.
and you're not literally putting it in your mouth.
Right.
They were literally putting it in their mouth.
Who knows how much they ingested too?
That's why it started with
It's
teeth
like-
pain.
Yep.
Well, and honestly, from the way I understand it, because like I read the stuff, but you know how my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just a small amount of radiation, like if they had just worked for one day,
Yeah.
they still would have gotten sick.
I'm sure.
Because it just, if they were going to get sick, they would have still gotten sick. Because I guess the way radiation works is it just keeps pumping out.
Yeah.
It just won't stop pumping out.
Nope.
It just keeps pumping out the radiation, and it just
Kills everything in your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
All the living cells.
Unless you're a fungus that's black growing in Chernobyl right now, that's sucking up all the radiation out of the dirt.
They probably could have found a cure for it
That's pretty cool.
if it was today.
Well, they wouldn't have had to do it if it was today. They wouldn't be like, yeah, lick the radium paint today. Jesus Christ. I can't with this shit. And for those who
Just
did
like
get sick,
Chernobyl when they were trying to pick up all that graphite. Like, hey, don't pick up that graphite. It's radioactive as hell.
people are just. And for those who did get sick, they had to fight to get just the basics of their medical bills covered after they got sick, after being lied to by their employers. Then there was the physical pain of the literal illness, radiation, poisoning.
Yeah.
And it just continues. And like we just said, it doesn't stop putting off radiation. So
Yeah, there's no way.
Your body's constantly breaking down.
Well, there's no way they could have got it out of them after they ingested it.
Well, they do have They have a preventative, and I don't remember what it's called, but there is a pill that you can take if you're going into a radioactive area that will help like protect you from exposure to radiation.
Right.
But I don't think that's something that a lot of people can get a hold of. I think that's like a
Yeah.
military rich person thing. But yeah, in the 1920s, just kiss your ass goodbye, I guess.
Pretty much.
Then there's the side effect that I don't think most people think of, the social aspect. Once women began getting sick, people would distance themselves. And this is really sad. A lot of times due to the smell of the oral abscesses
Mm-hmm.
that were just constantly draining pus into their mouth. I've had an abscess before.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if your whole jaw's doing that.
Right.
Then when they started dying, they were branded as whores. Remember the whole like, they had syphilis. This
Mm-hmm.
led people to believing that the girls were going sleeping around. And then once it was found out that it was radiation poisoning, people were too scared to be around them for fear of exposure. So you get sick. It can take months to years of cancer and rotting bones for these poor women to die, and they end up having to go through it alone.
Yeah.
One person, this is a little bit of a bright light. I just like found this and I was like, oh shit, okay, Mabel. One person who survived their time as a painter was Mabel Williams, who worked as a painter at 16 in Illinois.
From Gravity Falls.
Right? Yes. She passed away in 2015 at the age of 104 in Olympia, Washington. Are they not in Washington in Gravity Falls? Are they not in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's Mabel. No, but she was
That's kinda
104.
104.
104.
Wow.
She died in 2015 at 104.
With radium just
Yeah,
through her
after
body.
having been a radium painter, I'm like, that bitch
That's-
was lucky.
That's wild.
She was lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky. Like, wow. Maybe. I didn't even think about that. I thought about Gravity Falls, but it didn't click until just now that it was Washington.
Right.
So there have been a few stories written about the Radium Girls as well as a few plays, but in 2020, Radium Girls starring Joey King was released, the movie.
Yeah.
And I want to go see it. I want to see it, actually. I didn't know, and it has her in it, and I like her.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to have to watch this.
Sure.
So that is the case of the Radium Girls, the story of the Radium Girls, workers who were taken advantage of and used and abused for profit. We all owe these women a thank you because even if you personally do not work in a physically dangerous job, someone you know probably does. And it is because of the horror that these women had to go through that they're safer at work than they were.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is also a call that if you see something, say something. These large corporations, the wine and crime crew's coming through. Hey, you got one of this to mind me in a Swarton accent?
I'm just like envisioning a big fish factory.
I honestly, when I wrote out this part, it made me think of you in Conmet.
Yeah.
These large corporations that have jacked up prices for higher profits due to a pandemic are not the companies that are going to spend millions to keep their employees safe.
Yeah.
So if you witness a dangerous situation at work, call it out. You could save a life.
Yeah.
And I say that because you recently did that. You had to call out a stupid fucking unsafe situation at work.
Yeah.
And they were like, just do it. That's fine. And you were like, no. And then you came home and I was like, no. Because I used to work there. So, and you got it taken care of. You got it handled. You got the right people involved. Everybody came out and seen it. And they were like, yep, we got to fix that because we can't run it.
Yeah.
And they did have you guys using it for a while, but like they would stand there and watch it. That way they took the shit if something happened.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks.
And this story, like I said, is a call that if you see something unsafe at work, say something because you could save somebody's life.
For sure.
All right, folks. What did you think about that, Bill?
I like it. I've always like I heard that story a long time ago, probably back when I was a teenager and probably in science class. But yeah, I've always been kind of interested in uh the Radium girls.
It's a real messed up story.
Never
And
seen any pictures of them until now. That abscess on
that
that one
one
girl's
poor
chin,
lady
it's
with that
like
giant abscess hanging
it's
off of
like a
her jaw.
orange.
More like a damn baseball or grapefruit. The thing is huge. I'm like,
Yep.
oh,
It's wild. It looks like there's a statue of them somewhere too.
yeah, there probably is.
But
They went through a lot. They've been recognized for like their fight for safety changes and stuff at work whenever they did shit when they were making like the bombs. They actually like accredited them, recognized them as like, hey, because of them we know how to like handle this shit safely now. So
right.
thanks. Sorry about your jaw.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just like your jaw just
Falling off, basically.
I can't, and your spine and just all your bones just like dust.
Yeah.
Just like what was that quote? Like ashes in a fireplace. You're gonna think about that the next time you go to poke some ashes when we have a fire, and you're gonna be like,
dust in the wind.
Oh, Jesus
Oh, we
Christ!
are
I'm sorry if a descendant of the Radium Girls ever hears this. He's just a man, okay? He's just a man. At least he's not doing the other terrible stuff that men are doing nowadays. I'm sorry.
This is true.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Do the like, share, follow. Go buy some merch. Come follow us on Patreon if you want some stickers.
Looks like Tom Morello has a Radium Girls song or band.
Interesting. I didn't see anything about it into research about the songs. I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch that. That'd be a good one for Patty to watch. She'll be sitting there going, "What? Ah, what's wrong with her face? Radiation, bitch. That's what."
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Love